Everything on this platform originated as public information. We discuss it here after it becomes public somewhere else. Once it's public, I discuss it and get to looking into it. And no one is exempt. If you or yours put it out, then I will commentate on it. And there's nothing you can do about it. All right, let's start the show. I wanna be. I know it's Wednesday night, and it's not normally the time that we have LarryReidLive, but there is someone that is in the great city of Atlanta making his rounds, doing great things. Don't y'all love when black men doing great things? Doing great things here in the city, none other than Pastor Mark Brown, formerly of, excuse me. You know why I said brown? Because that phone was up there, and I look at that phone. It's a nice brown case that she got.
I like the color brown.
Just the pretty white women that is in it. You know, I'm single. He done came with his entourage, two pretty white women, a beautiful black lady. I'm like, wait. I ain't even sprayed my cologne on. It gave me heads up. I put my cologne on, what made everything all right. All right, so Pastor Mark Burns, formerly of 2016 Trump campaign, you heard a whole lot about him. And tonight we're going to talk about those things and then find out what you're doing now, because I see some great things you're doing with Onyx Network. So we're going to get into that tonight. This is what I need for you guys to do. I need for you to let everybody know that we are on. How can you do that? Make sure you share right now. If you're watching on Facebook, over there in Periscope, that's our small storefront church over there. Ain't but like 40-something of y'all over there. But y'all already coming in now on YouTube and on Facebook. So we need for you to hit the like and share right now. Almost 1,000 of you already. So this is what I need for you to do. Share and like and let somebody know that we're having the conversation tonight. Absolutely. Now, I really want to get to know who you are. Now, the thing that everybody remembers, anybody that pays attention to politics, black folk ain't get involved in some politics till right for Obama.
Right.
I'm going to tell you what my daddy told me. No lie, my daddy said, Larry, who you voting for? I said, I don't know. I got to read up. Because a lot of times people just want to vote and don't know what their policies are, what they're going to be doing, and what they have in mind that they're going to do for, any people, let alone our people. And so I said, Dad, I don't know. He said, what you mean? I said, what? I did to find out what's going on. Well, Obama, he black.
You gonna vote for Obama?
He black. You better vote for Obama. I said, Daddy, I know the man is black, and God knows I'm happy that he got a chance to get over there in the White House and bring some color to the White House. But look, I don't know what the man is talking to them about.
Yeah.
Needless to say, I voted for him anyway. And I'm going to tell you a truth that I am really ashamed to say. That was the first time I voted.
Yeah. In the presidential election. Period.
Wow. I never exercised. You know
how many black folks died so you can go vote?
I know that was the next thing you're going to say. Please do not roast me on my own show. But it was. Yeah, and it was my daddy. Because I am in the independent party. And what is it? They say it's just two parties. It's Republican. I'm gonna ask you a whole lot of questions.
Sure,
a lot of our people ain't got a clue when it comes to the politics.
Yeah.
We just know we don't like Trump.
Right. We don't.
That's all.
We can unify around that. We don't like Trump.
Right. And so, but you worked with the campaign, and so I really want to know more from behind the scene. There was a few preachers that were connected to his campaign. I know Darryl Scott.
Darryl Scott.
I haven't talked to him in some years.
Yeah.
And then also Paula White, she was connected to it. And that was really with y'all three.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Omarosa.
Yes, Omarosa.
You laugh. I want to talk to you about Omarosa. Omarosa. So y'all like the 4 main ministers, and all of you managed. Now this was brilliant. I don't know if y'all talked about this, but tell me if you can. I don't know if you signed any NDAs or not. What was brilliant, all of you guys ended up going straight into the media and started this whole media thing. And I had told people the way Trump won was media.
Yeah, absolutely. Straight media.
And he's really doing what he's doing through media.
Yeah, he still is. I mean, he's getting his message out to the people, directed to the people. I mean, he still has challenges. I mean, he has a lot of challenges that he's facing, but he understood pretty early on that in order for me to get my message out there, I got to go straight to the people. So he used a lot of social media. I mean, he did not spend hardly as much money as Hillary Clinton did. Especially for TV ads.
Oh, you on my roll now. You on my roll now. Because I call him Presbutainer. And
Yes.
that's the president, because obviously businessman is where the bu comes from.
Yeah.
And then Tainer, entertainment.
Yeah.
And I think he knew to do that because of his time in entertainment.
Without question. I mean, he knew that, being on The Apprentice, being about, in the high chair that he had, being at the boardroom table, being in an authoritative position. To most people who aren't politically inclined, that looks presidential by itself. So he was planting a seed for years just by being on that show, having that high chair behind him, being in the boardroom and telling people you're fired.
See, that's something else that just,
Talk to me.
hit my button.
Talk to me, Larry.
It's because he set an intention. I mean, before the entire world.
Right.
We got what we feel about him. We're going to talk about it on tonight. But he set an intention as an example to every entertainer, anybody who's in a field like mine, to say, you know what? This field of entertainment has the power to change, impact, and rule the free thinking world. Yeah. Maybe that's a little stretch. But it has the power to do that. And he set an intention and he got there. Very interesting to me. Okay, so first of all, before we get into all of that and Trump, let's get into Pastor Mark Burns. I want to find out, okay, are you married? Do you have children? Where are you from?
Married, have children, have 6 children. Been pastoring, for 23 years. Grew up in church. I'm a church boy. My father's a pastor. Grandfather was in ministry, singing gospel group.
Like
played the keyboard quartet. Yep, I played keys. I play keys
in South Carolina.
South Carolina. But we traveled all over from the Swanee Quintet to the Jackson Five to not Jackson Five, but Jackson Southerners, and all of them. I've been on that road.
Okay, so if you came up in quartet, you know this song. On my way home.
Can't on my way home. Come on now. On my way home.
Listen, I love quartet music.
I love the Cat Spirituals. It's my favorite group of all time.
And Harvey. He's still alive, ain't he?
Yeah, Harvey's still alive. Okay. He's still alive. He's not the lead singer. I think they got Paul Williams.
Wait a minute, hold on.
He's still singing, but he's not doing a lot of the lead singing because he had surgery.
Wait.
Come on, Larry. How are you supposed to know this?
No, I done started.
I'm the guy from Trump, and I know this, and you don't know this.
Let me tell you what happened.
Black folks, I'm still black. I just want you to know that. So
you ain't black. Them eyes is light.
I'm trying to get my black card back. So please let me come back into the black community. Like Dave Chappelle, they've gotten rid of me a long time ago. I'm trying to get accepted back.
Well, let me say this.
He said my eyes.
We may have felt a certain kind of way. But I'm gonna tell you something. If Trump ain't never did nothing for Larry Reid, is make me love my people. Yeah. I'm gonna say this: I'm more black now than I ever been in my life.
Yeah, and a lot of people are. I mean, again, this whole interview is not, for people who are watching. My focus is not just Donald Trump, but we got to talk about it because, as I said to you, I'm never going to, and I'm not trying to escape that. I'm proud of what I did. I'm proud of what I'm doing. I think though that if we would. There's so much education that we're missing as a people that's hurting us. And my mentor, Dr. Mike Murdoch, says there's something that you are missing that's killing you. That's something that you don't know that's killing you. And so there's so many things that we're missing. But I hope to be able to get into it. But no, I'm still black, America. I'm trying to get my black card. Hopefully, I can get back in. I'm getting a lot of hating hearts on Facebook. I got to get some loving hearts.
You can't get no more black than LarryReidLive. This is good and black.
People say, Pastor Burns, are you going on LarryReidLive show? Oh my God, what didn't happen?
That's all you got in a scandal.
I got a scandal coming out.
Okay, well, let's talk about how your name
I got lots of scandals.
Yeah, well, let's first talk about how your name first got on LarryReidLive in 2016 when I had two co-hosts here that was off the chain and they just really went in about it. Okay. I want to talk about that, but first, let me recap. You're married.
Yes.
You have children.
Yes.
You're a pastor.
I am.
You're out of the black church.
Out of the black church. Still in the black church.
Still in the black church in South Carolina. How did you end up being a part of Trump's 2016 presidential campaign? How did that happen?
Well, I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to give you the short version of it. Okay. In 2014, I started doing a lot of television. Impact Network. Give a shout out to Bishop Wayne T. Jackson and Impact Network.
Owned by a black man.
Owned by a black man. The only national black Christian network. Well, not only, but because I own the Now Television Network. That is another true. Black. But again, Wayne T. Jackson. And so we were working with Wayne T. Jackson, and the Lord told me, when you are helping somebody build a vision, you don't expect anything in return. Mm. And it's out of helping Wayne T. Jackson that the Now Network was birthed. But in that time period, I got to travel all over the country. Mm-hmm. And when I was traveling all over the country, I was discovering, and I had the whole movie theater, I had the whole church, I had the whole praise team, and big, huge, television screen. I mean, the whole 9 yards. Mm-hmm. The smoke machines, we did it all. Yeah. 18-member praise team. My church is the Harvest Praise and Worship Center. Mm-hmm. So music was a big part of my church. But when I started traveling, helping Impact Network, serving somebody else's vision, I began to notice, Larry, that every church was almost the same. Like really? A lot of the churches, we were singing the same music, same songs, same worship, same praise, but no real things were changing economically in our lives. And I was noticing that it was vexing me that we were doing a lot of church, but not a lot of transformational things, especially in the marketplace. And so it was out of that the Lord kept saying, church is going to be different moving in 2015. Church is going to be different moving in 2015. He said, church is going to be different. And I have April Phelps here, who was with me for 10 years, will tell you, I kept declaring, I don't know what that means, but the Lord kept telling me church is going to be different. We're done with church as usual.
Well, let me tell you this. In 2015, I was saying the exact same thing as I started a few years ahead of you because I can hear God better. Mm-hmm.
But he would have told you to stay away from Donald Trump, right? That's what he would have said.
Exactly. But what in the world? That's what I'm playing. Okay, now, I had started like in 2011. I kept preaching about the marketplace going beyond the four walls of church. So I would have to agree with what you're saying. And I think a lot of people now are catching up with the idea, this don't work no more. It's not that it's bad.
Right.
It's that it just needs reform.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because we talk about religion, we talk about how religion is really, you're world famous.
Yeah, I can't go out my house.
Because of religion taking hold and not relationship in a lot of ways, and people. So for me, it was about relationship, and I kept teaching, but the blackness in me. And the black pastor in me was telling me, I got to have a big church. I got to have, if I let my big church go, I will look like a failure. If I stop all this, people won't take you serious as a preacher anymore. Whoa. And so, but what happened, Larry, is as I stopped, and the Lord said, New Year's Eve, 2014, he told me, then he confirmed it with my wife. He said, before 2015 come, April was there, to remove every instrument, every praise music from the podium. Move everything. He said, I want you to stop praise and worship for 1 year.
Whoa.
This was, and now I was on my keyboard. And I was a worship leader.
Oh, you can play.
I was a worship leader for 12 years. I didn't just ordain myself, okay? I was a worship leader for 12 years. I sit under my father for 12 years. I was a minister, I licensed, and then I was later catechized by elder pastors in the Baptist missionary community.
Okay.
And so where they sit you down.
My father is the missionary Baptist pastor.
And so they ask you questions, so you actually go through a catechism process, and then they later ordain you. And so I go through that process for 12 years. I was a worship leader. I was on the keys, Larry, and I was by myself, and I heard the Lord says, stop praise and worship for 1 year. Stop praise and worship for 1 year. And I said, Lord, you're not really saying that. Because I'm hearing myself. Lord, you're not really saying that. Because we building a church. We got an 18-member praise team.
You can't without the praise team.
We got a beautiful church. God's got a road. And I mean, we literally snot bubbles worship. We really snot bubbles worship. I mean, seriously, people prostrated, laying out on the floor.
God, I ain't never heard that. But I know what you're talking about.
But the Lord said, stop praise and worship going into 2015. And then I stopped, and then my wife comes over, who was nowhere close to me, comes across the room we were in and says, the Lord just said to me, we got to stop praise and worship for 1 year. And I'm like, oh my God, I dropped my head immediately, because then I knew God was telling us something. This wasn't nothing that we had talked about prior to. This was spontaneous. We know it was from the Holy Spirit. So I immediately told the church, pull the instruments down, pull them down. We got to do it before midnight happens. And when I pulled everything down, long story short, people were confused. People didn't get it.
Okay, no, I didn't even know this prior to this. Must do my little piece, just so you know. Cause this is not, it's an interview, but it's like a conversation y'all get to eavesdrop on. Because same thing happened to me as relates to doing this, the one I'm doing now. It was 2015.
I feel the Holy Spirit.
That is so interesting. 2015, I was sitting in a workshop with Dr. Holly Carter, and this was in Baltimore. And I heard it was like somebody hit me upside the head, move to Atlanta. This don't make no sense. My church doing well. What the whole hell in the heaven? I'm gonna go to Atlanta far, and I hate the sun and the South, and there's a whole bunch of niggas. I don't want to do that. That don't bother none of the white people in here, does it?
No, the white people are good.
Okay, so I'm sorry. And so
the white people are good.
Okay. Okay. But anyway, just let me talk and tell it the way that I want to tell it.
Okay, all right.
So
you see what you done done. You done made us make up the microphone.
Let me tell it the way I want to tell it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so when that happened, that was July.
Yeah.
So next thing that happened, I moved. And when I moved, I was driving back and forth to church. He dropped 2 little pieces.
Yeah.
And then I was in a worship service in October at the church. I would drive from here back to North Carolina to the church. And we was in worship. And I was, that kind of worship.
Yeah, I know.
And I heard this is clear. Okay, stop this. Stop this. Go to the internet. This is 2015. I'm like, that don't make no sense. I got to pay all these people, got the musicians stuff. How I'm going to do all this? Plus my salary. Right. That ain't going to work. Black folk like going to a building to worship the Jesus.
Yeah.
And do a whole lot of hollering and screaming. That's what we like to do.
We like to do it, yeah.
I said, these folk going to go back and sin and backslide. I got a whole bunch of addicts, and X everything. And but I did it.
Yeah.
And when I did it, I started teaching and prophesying from the internet. And then next thing I know, it was like, and people were still in that church mode. Yeah. It was like, they don't get it. What I'm trying to do, trying to make you a digital network.
Right.
And for you have a digital platform.
Right.
Now it makes sense now.
Right.
I ain't know then. And so for 2 years, I was stuck on the internet trying to figure it out. And everybody was still doing tithing and offering. So who's going to stop the money?
Right.
But then I heard this clear. One Sunday I was about to, I said, this is our last Sunday receiving tithing and offering. Send it to somewhere else. I stopped my own church.
You stopped.
January 2017. So to hear you say that, and the whole time I was getting those messages about the marketplace and going beyond the 4 walls, I totally understand how you got to the Trump administration.
Yeah.
Now, how you end up on stage. We got a picture, put it up. You're on stage, you're leading the prayers. Mark Burns get introduced to the whole world. Pastor Mark Burns, and it's attached to Donald Trump's name. And so what is happening at that moment in your life?
So as you understand, by this time the church dwindled, but my television network began to rise. So financially, we were doing 10 times better as a company. So as my network rose, my church dwindled, And so therefore we begin to focus on preaching and teaching, which we still do, but not so focused on the traditional church. I believe, Larry, that is what God used to see if he could trust me for the next assignment, because it didn't make sense to me because I'm so church to maintain this big church and the big persona. And there are a lot of pastors that you know and I know who are sinking privately, but because they're trying to maintain this big thing. Well, when I did that, I became free.
Yeah.
And it's immediately right after that, I was invited by Dara Scott to come to a meeting at Trump Towers to talk with Donald Trump. I had no idea who was going to be there. I didn't know anything about it. I got to Trump Towers. My wife was with me. And then I remember before I crossed the street, I heard the Lord says something special is going to happen. I had no idea what that meant. And I know some people were thinking hocus pocus and what have you, but I clearly said something special is going to happen. I stopped my wife and I told her, I heard the Lord, something special is going to happen. And I'm like, so we took a picture of the Trump Towers across the street, walked over to the gold Trump sign. Went up, and as soon as I walked in, there was Kenneth Copeland. I'm like, oh Lord, it's Kenneth Copeland. And then there were some other great, Jan Krause before she went to be with the Lord. And it was only about 20 of us. We go upstairs to where his office is, and we go into the boardroom. And quickly, when I got there, I knew my name wasn't on one of the because again, I know where I was. I know I was a new television, internet. I'm not on cable TV channel. Was new. I wasn't like these other great generals.
Right.
So I didn't sit myself at the main table. I sit myself behind everybody and just waited for Mr. Trump to come in. And before Mr. Trump came in, Michael Cohen, who just got out of jail, but Michael Cohen and I became very close. President Trump's personal lawyer.
Oh, yeah, we talked about him here on the show. We know exactly who
so
he
we're
is.
very close. Texting, even when he was going to, I still don't agree with the things that he's done.
Right.
But
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. I want to go ahead and talk to this guy. I know you watch him. Like, you are not going to have him on the show and don't ask him about the stuff we know about. Now, I'm going to tell you what I think. I'm going to let you answer it. But then after you finish, I'm going to tell you what I think. And y'all may not agree with me. Okay, as you're getting into this next level and into this world that you really was following God's lead, not really sure, how to do all of what you're doing. So in the black church, we get the honorary doctorates, that sometimes it's like paying for. Sometimes some of us actually have masters and we deserve it, and we're actually masters. And then a lot of times we sort of fluff our bios and things of that nature. I ain't, but that's what we do. Okay, so when that came out and they taught, it was three main things. They said, okay, he wasn't a part of fraternity.
Right.
He wasn't
Part
a
of
part of the reserve, and the other. And hold on for a minute. Is that the guy on the other side of the TV phone going off?
I don't know.
What is that?
I don't know what
Oh,
that
okay. I
is.
thought it was him. This is why I end up fussing because he be doing stuff over there. Just need to be clicking the button.
Are you clicking buttons back there?
Okay, so it was the fraternity thing. It was the
Military.
reserve thing. And what was the other thing?
Military, and just a resume.
Okay, so let's talk about that. I want you to give answer to that.
So what happened with that? I mean, by this point, I'm in the middle of the campaign. I am releasing statements on behalf of the campaign. I'm traveling all over the country. I'm introducing Donald Trump. That whole Hillary Clinton blackface thing came out. I retweeted something. I remember that. I'll be honestly, I had no clue that people even paid any attention
to what you were doing.
Clarence McClendon said, hey, you're just in a whole nother world, because for me, I was just aloof. I didn't think people was paying me any attention. I'm not Donald Trump, I'm not the candidate. I'm not running for office. But I retweeted because I thought it was funny, because in my perspective, I just believe that the Democratic Party has been pandering, with Hillary Clinton and her hot sauce. And we're not here to bash anybody. I'm just telling you that I thought it was funny. So I retweeted it, and it became this big, huge, story. And so,
just to clarify so everybody know, that you retweeted, it was a meme of her in blackface.
Yeah.
And they were basically saying that she's appropriating,
right,
for the culture in order to get them votes.
Right.
And so you retweeted.
I retweeted
it was funny, but you did not create it.
No, I didn't create
it. Like the owner of the Word Network did.
Yeah, no, that
you didn't create it like Kevin Adele did, and then sent it over there to Bishop George Bloomer, and I seen it. I took it out of his phone live on air. Go back and watch it. I took it out the phone. I sent it to my during the cell. But so you didn't create
I didn't create it.
We just want to make sure that's clear.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. But anyway, so after that, it was hit after hit after hit, and at that point, I became a center fixture. With Donald Trump, and he kept using me, asking me to do things, and so
let me ask you this.
CNN came.
Okay, I'm sorry, I cut right through you.
No, you go ahead.
Tell me when I do that because I got
good.
that is some.
You keep me on track because I'll keep talking. I keep talking.
That's a nigament, but it's in my soul. I cut through you. I just talk right over. Okay, so just to clear this part up, because I want to skate over it. This I'm gonna tell you what I think, and you tell me if it's truth or not. What I felt like is that you were thrown into a world that you didn't know.
Right, absolutely.
Which the same thing happened to me right here live on my show. People in Watchmen 16. The show gets bigger and bigger, and I've had to learn. I've had to call people and find out, okay, how do I do this? I mean, now I have to think about leaving my house, and where I'm gonna go. Who's with me? Do I have my gun?
Yeah,
Do I have my gun or not? I have to think about all of that. If my kids are with me, I need 2 guns with me,
Yeah.
So none of this stuff was all new to me. So I felt like you were thrown into a world, and here you are in this world, and I know now that I would have to make sure my P's and Q's and but you didn't even think about that.
I mean, again, it was an old website. Now, first of all, let me just say this. This was something that took place about 14 years ago now. They found an old website that wasn't live. It wasn't even active. This was something that it was not active. It was not part of our church website. Now, was there some inconsistencies on it? Absolutely, yes. And I've said that.
Okay, let's call them lies.
What lies? Yes, we can call them lies. There was but I've already said that. Straight, blank, point, open.
Yeah.
There was no trying to correct it.
So this was an old website.
About 14-year-old website that was not active.
Man,
I
never knew that.
And see, the Democratic Party went and they found, who is this guy and where I come from, and so they just.
They
did their thing. Yeah, they did their job.
Dig up the dirt.
And stuff came up. It was like, oh crap, I didn't even know that existed. Like I didn't even know that was even still out there.
Yeah.
And no, I wasn't parading myself. I mean, first of all, it said I was not in the Army Reserves. It said I was in the Army Reserves. Listen, I served 8 years in the United States Army National Guard.
Which was a version of the reserve.
Yeah, which is a version of the reserve. Which I said that.
My ex-spouse is in the military.
Okay, so I served as an infantryman, 11 Bravo. I went to Fort Benning, Georgia. I'm a veteran. I didn't lie or stolen valor, but they made it out to be for the CNN hit. They made it out to where he stolen valor and he lied. And the Army Reserve even issued a statement that says, oh no, he wasn't part of the Army Reserve, but they just kind of threw in, but he did serve in the Army, South Carolina National Guard. That's not the state guard. That's the actual Army National Guard that serves with for those who don't know, it's the actual Army Reserve that serves with the United States military. Go to the same basic training, same AIT, et cetera, same MOSs. Secondly,
go ahead, finish that.
Well, and secondly, it said I was a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. Again, this was a 14-year-old website. At this time, I did start the crossing over process. I was so close in my divorce. I had a divorce when I was 24 years old. And so these Kappa brothers from Furman University took me in. It's like, we're going to rebuild you up. I started the process of crossing over as a Kappa. I mean, all my friends were Kappas. I had a red Bronco with a Kappa sign. I was thrown in. These brothers just brought me in and they built me up. Unfortunately, because I was so broke and financially unstable, and I had 3 kids at this time, didn't really have a job, had, seatbelt tickets, was arrested 4 different times because of, I couldn't afford, I couldn't afford the cost. And so I wasn't able to complete the crossing over process, the placement process. But it's because of the Kappas, and I said this openly. I've apologized openly to to I believe the greatest Greek organization, incorporation there is, because that's why I wear suits today, because of these brothers. I walk in as a dignitary because of some of the foundational things I learned from the brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi. And so it helped transform my mind when I was a hood rat boy from trying to be a thug from nothing, Belton, South Carolina, a PK who wasn't really following in his assignment, to meeting these educated young black brothers. And they took me in. And so, yes, I said I was a member of Kappa Alpha Psi, and I've openly apologized to them. I've openly sent out to so many other brothers who are part of the Cap side. But that was absolutely right.
So it was the Democratic Party working to do a smear campaign on you, which I can't say.
But it comes with the territory, and I'm not mad because, to be honest with you, Larry, it's one of the greatest things that's happening to me now. It's amazing that what Satan meant for evil, God used it for good. It's because of that I'm still here talking on you. I'm on your show.
That's how come I knew who you were.
And now was it hard? Yes, but again, I repented from a sin that took place 14, 15 years ago. And there's no excuse about it. The Democrat Party did a great job on it. Right. But again, it's part of who I am today. And it's because of that I'm able to, to move forward and to, talk about, if you're going to sin, make sure you call that stuff out because it's going to come out. Or you're going to show up on Larry Reid's show. And he gonna do it for you. It's gonna come out.
If it come out, I'm going to jump right in it and then I'm getting digging around into it. Now, You are named by Time Magazine as Trump's top pastor. You're named by Yahoo News as one of the 16 people that shaped the 2016 presidential election. And you also was a former U.S. congressional candidate. This is Pastor Mark Burns that we are talking to here on the show. I want you guys to be very clear who we're talking about tonight. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to get into who in the whole hell and the heaven let Trump in the White House. I'm playing. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out some stuff about the Trump campaign when he was there. I want to get your thoughts about what's going on now, this upcoming election. And some of us up here, we got black, white, gay, straight, all different kind of people to watch us, but a whole lot of us black folk, we don't understand what politics is. We need for you to give us politics for dummies.
I understand.
Okay,
let's talk about it.
Right when we come back, we'll be right back.
Celestial Tax Service provides excellent tax preparation for the local DMV and all 50 states all year round. Here at Celestial Tax Service, we can assist you with tax preparation, accounting, and credit repair. We go above and beyond for our customers, and we assist you throughout the year with your current and past tax needs. If you want your taxes done with quality work and personal care, and you're looking for new beginnings for your credit history, contact Celestial Tax Services today. For further information or to get services, visit our website at www.celestialtaxservice.org and print out our company credit report or a tax preparation application and email it or fax it in to us, and we'll get you started.
Are you in need of direction for a decision you have to make? Maybe you're curious about the future. If that's you, the founders of Zoe Ministries and the Company of Prophets are offering you free prophecy. Call 888-831-0434. Don't wait. Call 888-831-0434. Do it today.
Suffering and silence.
Turning now to some tragic news. 30-year-old pastor of a megachurch in Southern California has died by suicide.
The truth is that the strong have weaknesses too.
We go to church like everything's okay.
Smiling through addictions, pain, depression.
I've seen people live in mixture. It's a scary thing when you see that.
Who really knows how to hear the silent cry?
I feel like I'm going to church to lie. I'm going to church to lie.
Man or woman of God, you are not alone. Register for the one-day Breaking the Silence Conference, February 8th at Life Enrichment Ministries, 4644 Campbellton Road Southwest in Atlanta. Hear from Pastor Dennis Martin, Bishop Quincy Carswell, Pastor Darrell Winston, Pastor Liza Hickman, Pastor Quincy Carswell II, and more. Topics include drug addiction, divorce, how to cope with losing it all, ministry and family life balance, and so much more. Registration is only $30. It's the Breaking the Silence one-day conference, February 8, 10 a.m. at Life Enrichment Ministries. Register today at dlmartin.org.
All right, and welcome back to LarryReidLive. Make sure you sign up for this conference. Those of you see all those statistics as it relates to pastors and what they're dealing with, depression and addiction and pornography, all that kind of going on. Make sure you come to this environment where it's a safe environment for leaders, people that have been through stuff like what we've been through and they're still struggling with it, but they're bleeding while they are leading. Make sure you get in contact with Dr. Martin so that you can get your help. Also, those of you that need personal prophecy and counsel need to hit up Bishop Jordan, the master. And it's time to get your taxes together. If you don't get them together, you end up in the jailhouse. You know, you do not want to go to the jailhouse at this time. Did y'all see what that jailhouse in Alabama looked like with all the stuff got the stuff in there?
I didn't see that.
It wasn't Mississippi. It's horrible. I was itching watching. I said, I just can't. Whatever I got to do to stay out. Make sure you get in contact with Celestial Tax Service. And look, use the coupon code Paper Bible Save. And that's
I love
she
that.
took my song. Paper Bible Save, and you will get discount on getting your taxes done. All right. It's time to get back into the conversation. No more breaks. The next time we break, it'll be open up the phone lines. Because I think I'm going to let y'all ask them some questions, but you got to be nice or I'm going to hang up on you. If you don't never ask somebody over to your house, have somebody over to your house, then you come here and treat them bad. That's not how you're supposed to do. My mama, my grandma, dad and them, grandpa and them taught me better. That's not how you do. That's why when I was asking you them questions, I was careful.
Yeah.
Because I want to know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not going to let anybody come here and then treat them a certain kind of way. I had to do an interview with John Gray and the Avenger, but I couldn't air it on the thing. And they told me not to record, but you know how that goes. If they watch it, I'm so sorry. I was lying. But I had to. I would never let nobody hear it. But you got the folks be like, to take me to court and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, no, I would never record. All right, go ahead and go. I had to record it. I mean, because if something happened, and then let's suppose y'all won't come out.
You got to protect yourself.
A year later, I'm talking about, he lying. He ain't never do no interview with them. I was like, oh, okay, really? All right. But see, you just.
Press play.
I'm just saying. I did tell y'all, I'm not a liar, but I told y'all when it comes to this job, sometimes I had to tell little lies. I do. I just have to. Sometimes I sit here like I don't know nothing. I've been knowing the whole story.
You've been knowing the whole story.
I only can talk about what's public, and I've been knowing the other piece that I need to bring out, but I have to hold it. And be like, I don't know why they doing that for. I don't even know. And I'm like, I know what they doing. I keep looking over there because them some fine women. God bless the USA. Homegrown. Y'all ain't from overseas no reason. That's cornbread, the pork chops, fried chicken. Thank you, Jesus. All right. Oh, my children ain't watching. I'm not married to your mama no more. I'm like, Daddy, you should be saying. I said, your mama's, we ain't together. I can say whatever I want to say to somebody else. Jesus Christ. All right, anyway. Welcome back to Larry Live. We have Time Magazine, Trump's top pastor. That's what they said. I'm not making this up. This is what it said. It was also named one of the top 16 people that shaped the 2016 Trump presidential election campaign. All right. And former U.S. congressional candidate. I want to make sure I'm honoring you on all that you have contributed. Now, we need a breakdown. I'm going to go ahead and say this. I feel like our people don't know a whole lot when it comes down to politics and what's going on. So I'm going to just start asking you a few questions.
Please,
just quick answer questions.
Quick answers. Gotcha.
All right. Now, when it comes to Donald Trump, since he got into office, it seems as though there's been a whole lot of racial unrest.
Sure.
What would be your answer? Is he responsible? His campaign responsible? What is it?
Well, I think there's in the shortest amount of answer, I think really it's a history of Republicans not really doing a good job communicating to African Americans in this country. I mean, it really is not just Donald Trump. I mean, Donald Trump is the latest Republican that, and because he's he's a character by himself, it's amplified of him being a racist. But you go back from Ronald Reagan, you go to George W. Bush, you go to George Bush, Herbert Bush. Republicans are traditionally known as racist party because they don't communicate effectively to the African Americans, which that's where I believe I come into play because I'm helping educate our people. I'm what's called a social justice conservative. And this is something new that where social justice is a major platform, which is why we were able to pass a second step act to where a bipartisan bill where we're getting African Americans out of prison. There are over 1 million people in jail, and we're getting black people out of prison.
And that's the Republican Party.
That's the Republican Party.
The same party that broke the back of slavery.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, now, you said bipartisan. Somebody don't know what that means.
Democrats and Republicans coming together. So it's not just led by one party.
So that word bi is like bisexual. For all of you out there that like both, B-O-F-E. all you that like both of you bisexual, when something gets done or said and it's bipartisan, that means both parties, the elephant and the donkey,
yes,
both of them agree. And that's their symbols. What, the elephant is who?
The elephant is the Republicans.
And the donkey is who?
The Democrats.
Okay. Wait a minute. I don't think I like that.
Hey, I didn't make it up. I'm only just telling you.
An ass?
Hey, I listen, I didn't make it up. You got to talk to the Democratic Party.
Who came up with that? Shady as hell.
But we got to talk about why so many of us as African Americans just primarily vote one party. And I think it's a hindrance. Democrat Party.
Well, let me tell you why. Because let me tell you why. Now, I didn't find this out until I started on the show. One time I had to see him tell what the House with the representatives and all. I had graphs and everything. Mm-hmm. That's your show. I got to find that show and put it up because it really explains everything from the local government all the way to the White House. Mm-hmm. I did not know, because when we were coming up, they told us to vote, black people vote Democrat.
Right.
That's what they told us. That ain't work out because we all know the Democrats have it. We already know that the Democratic Party, I found this out, has Faruq. That's with an R in there for all you that's watching, y'all save folks.
You said it to me today and I was scared. I said, you just cussed.
No, it's an R. It's an R. It's F-R. Messed up everything. So we already know how, we understand that has happened. But that's what they told us. Mm-hmm. They told us to vote Democratic because that's what black people supposed to vote.
Right.
Now, as I got older and began to realize some stuff, I said, okay, now, but the Democrats stand for a whole lot of things that mom and daddy, y'all said y'all don't like abortion, that you're supposed to live right, supposed to do what's right. Then I found out, the Republican Party is more so the party that's supposed to be more like what the biblications say, like the Bible say.
Yeah.
So then I was told between them, I said, now hold on for a minute. The Republican Party is holding up what the Bible said. The Democratic Party seem like they at least trying to let the people be free and be free thinking and try to help, seem to be more social. It seemed as though it's more social justice driven and more people driven.
Right.
Then I got the place that said, "Front both of y'all. I'm going to become independent."
Yeah, and that's the message that we're doing. I'm starting a new organization called Operation Reset. And Operation Reset is simply this. Right now, the black people make up 25% of the Democratic Party. So that means in order for any national candidate to win a national race, they have to have the majority of black people to show up to vote for them. Their whole party, a 25% of their party is powered by black people, right? The problem is, and this is where that whole meme came out with the Hillary Clinton blackface. I mean, black people have been taking it. I was going to say something, but we just been taking it and not really making people fight for our vote. And I like what you said. You've been independent. We're asking black people to reset their thinking. You don't have to become a Republican. You don't have to register as a Republican, but at least reset your thought to where you said, I'm not going to automatically vote Democrat simply because I'm black and that's what I do. I am going to make both parties fight for my vote. I'm going to make Republicans spend more money in the black community. Okay. I'm going to make Republicans talk about social justice issues. I'm going to make the Republicans talk about, because they don't talk about them because black folks don't, it's a double-edged sword. Republicans don't talk to black folks and black folks don't talk to Republicans. So now people like me are coming and saying, listen, Republicans, you have to talk to a disenfranchised group of people. We got to talk about gentrification.
Yeah, because we see the Republicans now as the white evangelicals,
right.
And then the black evangelicals is like them are their token blacks,
right.
So you would be like a token black or a house.
I've been called an Uncle Tom, a house nigga, a house negro. I made the coonship enterprise. I'm coon in the gang. I'm on. they got a meme. I made coon in the game, so I'm one of the memes on that. And so, of course, but they called Dr. King a coon too.
They
called Dr. King Uncle Tom.
I found that only 5% of the black church supported him.
Yeah,
when
he didn't have he didn't have a lot of support, and even at the end of his death, the coalition began to break up seriously. I mean, B-Rap and those younger generations who were coming up, who were not part of the nonviolent movement, began to take more charge of the movement. Of course, after Dr. King's death, of course, the Black Panther Black Panther Party rose up, and so, of course, that leads us into, gangs of, the Crips and what have you. So anyway, the point is, I read a lot, Larry. I read a lot.
Yeah, because you spitting off that data and them facts like it's just easy.
And I try to study, and I try to help our people understand that we gotta. There's a reason right now why there's a 37-year-old black man in Greenville, South Carolina, who has $2 million worth of assets. Right, has a 800+ credit score, but was recently denied a $35,000 loan by Bank of America. Okay, why in the world was this brother who has everything lined up still denied $35,000?
What's your answer? I got one.
Well, the answer is we know he's a black man.
Okay, that's
and so this is the message that the Republicans have not been getting. Now, they want to have, many of them want to have it, but they don't have anybody who's educating them, saying, listen, there's a real systematic racism that extends. When people ask me, I was on MSNBC recently, and they said, is Donald Trump a racist? And I stopped the person, and Reverend Al Sharpton was on the show, and I stopped and said, "Well,
he's called into this show."
Yeah, and I said, I said, well, first of all, we need to stop asking, is Donald Trump a racist? Because that's irrelevant. Lyndon Baines Johnson was a real racist. He the one who said that if I get niggas voting, when I get niggas voting for Democrats, if I can give them their food stamps and social programs, I have niggas voting for me for the next 400 years, and that's exactly what's happened. That's documented. He stated that. Or you got Nixon, who's also a racist. We got audio tapes of him.
Well, I don't like when people say Nixon is a racist. I don't. And let me tell you what I think, and you tell me what you think. I don't like when people label people, say that you're a racist or Donald Trump is a racist. I can see if you're saying, okay, Donald Trump said or done something that was racist,
sure,
or he said or done something that
or
was
might be
inappropriate,
insensitive,
or racially insensitive.
Yeah,
I don't like to do it because you don't really know.
The question, what I said on MSNBC was this, and they didn't like it, I guess, but I said, listen, don't ask me if Donald Trump is racist. Is MSNBC racist? Oh. That's what I asked them.
Or Fox.
I said, how many black people, I said this on there, how many black people do have their own shows? Reverend Al Sharpton and I said this, Reverend Al Sharpton used to have a Monday through Friday show. He's not regulated to just on Sundays. So answer me that question. There's a systematic system that evolves, that exists, and it's not just done in Democrats versus Republicans. This is what I'm telling my black people.
I get what you're saying. You're saying instead of focusing on Trump,
yeah,
let's look at the system.
The system racist? Is racist. The system is racist.
Wait a minute, I feel something.
And so, but the problem is they get us fighting each other by calling us. You get any black person that says, "Listen, I'm going to be a Republican. I'm going to be money driven. I'm going to be, business driven." But now you're a coon, you're Uncle Tom. So let's get us hating on each other. Let's get us fighting each other and missing the reality is we shouldn't be taking a knee just at the football stadiums. We should be taking a knee at the Department of Commerce and ask why in the world that when President Obama, whom I'm happy we had a black president to become president, and I'm always proud to have a black president to become president, a black man to become president of the United States of America. But why in the world under his administration that only out of $24 billion, $24 billion with the B. Why was only out of $24 billion that was given to small businesses, only $240 million of it was given to black small businesses? Why in the world is there a huge disappropriate of funds? Why is it that we are begging crumbs at the table, even right now? Well, because the reality of it is black businesses is the backbone to the black community. It's the backbone to us having our own jobs. Now, you can hate Trump. I'm not here to convince you or any of your watchers to like Trump. Most people will never get to meet him. I'm one of the few people in the world that is close to the Trump family. I text them all the time. I'm in the family.
Tell him I said praise the Lord.
I will. I will say, Larry, we're going to take a selfie. And I'm going to send it to Donald Trump Jr. And I'm going to say, LarryReidLive says praise the Lord.
You know how they greet each other in the country.
But the point that I'm making is, it's because we don't educate ourselves. We move based off emotionalism and not what actually moves the needle. So while we are fighting over the criminal justice issues that are happening, which are true, because black folks do get killed in the streets, black folks are getting taken advantage of, most of the time it's because black people are frustrated in our urban centers because of a lack of opportunities. So it's not in the NFL stadiums, even though I agree Cap have every right to do what it, because he's an American, he has every right to protest. But I think we be focusing on the wrong things. We should be locking down the United States Chamber of Commerce. We should be breaking down the reason why in the world is this young brother who got an 800 plus credit score still having the issues getting the funds, getting access to funds to help build his business with $2 million of assets. These are things that are happening to people on a daily basis, and we don't talk about them because as black people, instead of making Republicans fight for our vote, instead of making Democrats fight for our vote, I understand the history of why black people vote for Democrat. It started in the 1960 presidential election when Robert Kennedy, JFK, Johnny Kennedy was a senator. He was the Democratic nominee. Richard Milhouse Nixon was the Republican nominee. Dr. King was arrested in prison. This is some real, go look it up. It's 100% factual. Dr. King was arrested, one of the first time he was arrested. Coretta Scott King, who had a relationship with Republicans, who had a relationship with Vice President Richard Nixon, who had Eisenhower as president, called the vice president up and said, Mr. Vice President, can you get Dr. King, my husband, out of prison, out of jail? He's been locked up. Can you call the judge and get him out? Now, because he was the vice president of the United States of America, and because Eisenhower told Richard Nixon, do not get involved. Do not get involved. Don't you get involved. All right? Because you're running for president, you will lose the Southern vote. Don't get involved. He did not call Coretta Scott King and that judge to get him out of prison. Now, she then called John Kennedy, a relationship through Kennedy's cousin named Major. Major was a cousin and close confidant of the Kennedy brothers, Bobby and John. Now, when Major said, listen, John, Coretta Scott is calling, Dr. King is in jail, we got to help get him out. Kennedy said, let's get him out of jail. Robert Kennedy, his brother, who was later killed too, said, no. If you're already Catholic, you're already up north, you will lose the Southern vote as a Democrat. If you go after this civil rights movement, you will lose the presidency. You will not win. Robert Kennedy goes down the street to get something at that time while he was by himself. Major, his cousin, convinced JFK to pick up the phone and call Coretta Scott. He picks up the phone, calls Coretta Scott, and it's through that conversation that he gets Dr. King out of jail. Dr. King then goes on camera and says, well, it's to my understanding that Senator Kennedy had something to do with it. That was the shot that was heard around the world, because at that point, Robert Kennedy was pissed off that he did that because we're now going to lose the Southern vote. But what they didn't anticipate was all those black folks, all those former slaves that has built up in Atlanta, the southern states, Texas, Mississippi, rose up and said, now we have somebody that's fighting for our champion, Dr. Martin Luther King. Then the polls begin to shift because black folks begin to rise. That's then and only then they took on the civil rights movement. Now you got to understand when JFK was elected, okay, he didn't take on the civil rights. He didn't take on a civil rights fight. The only thing he really did was sent the federal government down to southern states like Mississippi to help find those 3 boys who were killed, by the Ku Klux Klan, and then launched a federal investigation. All right, but after that he was killed, and then Lyndon Baines Johnson took the mantle and became the champion of the civil rights movement. He was not really a champion of civil rights of black people, but he was really understood that this is my new Southern strategy.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And so this helped when I gave social programs. We helped create the food stamp program. But the food stamp program also removed the black man out the house. It's the food stamp program that's keeping fathers even right now at the home. It's the welfare program that's, if there's a single mother right now in America, you got 4 or 5 kids, all right, if there's a man present in the home, you will not be able to get the resources that you need to help your situation with your babies. So what is the government?
It promotes the father being out of the home.
So what a single mother oftentimes do? What she would
hide
say,
a nigga
in a room. Exactly, and that's what happens. And so the father is moved out of the home, and because of the absence of the black father, young boys and young girls are growing up because they have no covering.
Yeah.
And so therefore it also creates frustration in some of our urban centers because of a lack of opportunities. So again, we keep ourselves in struggle. We keep ourselves in turmoil. We keep ourselves down. Why in the world we're not making Democrats fight for our vote? Why in the world we're not making Republicans fight for our vote?
I like the way that you're saying that because I was concerned about you come here. I said he gonna kill Democrats and just praise Republicans, but you've been very diplomatic.
I'm being truthful,
and not just that. I hear what you're saying when you're saying that the system is racist, and when you're going back and you're going through history and you're talking certain things, it makes me even wonder. Man, this our country is inherently racist. It brings me to a book. Put this book up there, America's Original Sin, and it's written.
Prophet Jordan. I love that.
Did you hear what he just said? He's talking about, oh, I took it out. Why you taking that out for? I told you I'm gonna be talking about that book, and this is a black mind in politics. Why we not gonna end up on this here book? Nah. Well, it's called America's Original Sin. So what you're saying to me is that as opposed to us looking at Donald Trump, whether he is racist or not,
right?
Let us all look at the racism that is in the fiber of our country.
Yes, from Hollywood, to banking to real estate. Why is it? The problem is, though, again, and it's the same concept that America did with slavery. They prevented us from gaining knowledge and wisdom, and they created a false narrative. It was illegal for black folks to learn how to read. Yeah. It was illegal for black folks to be educated. That's what's happening right now. So instead of us educating ourselves and start saying, listen, you know the federal government, even right now, is supposed to give at least 10% of government contracts to black businesses?
But see, that was going to say that about the bank. The guy you talking about in Greenville. Now, I do know this from having friends in banking, that especially when it comes to local banks, there's a certain percentage of loans for businesses and personal loans that you're supposed to give to colored people.
Can you say less than 2%?
Yeah.
That's what's happening. Less than 2%.
So he qualified,
most definitely
it don't make that quota.
No. So you got to understand something. Why are we fighting for just 10% when we should be fighting for the whole pie? You understand? That's what we should be taking a knee on. But again, as long as we fighting the emotionalism of politics, let's distract you by focusing on Uncle Tom Mark Burns and Uncle Tom Coon, sellout, nigga, white man pleasing, who don't know nothing about me, colored contact, Mark Burns, who must be gay.
Wait a
and
minute,
nigga ain't gay.
hold. Them eyes ain't yours.
They ain't my, listen, they mine, they real. This is real as your glasses.
Okay. But you know what? But I'm going to say this. I thought they were your eyes. That's what I thought. Yeah. And I'm going to say this, that I used to wear color contacts. When they first came out, I wore for like 9 years straight, and then it switched, and then all LGBT communities started wearing the light eye stuff. Then it went to women, and the women still do wear. Yeah. We still got some old school OGs who wear contacts who are not a part of the LGBT.
No, not at all.
Clearly not a part. Let's talk about some of the things that the Democratic Party has done for the black community. The reason why a lot of you still are voting Democratic, because we gotta be.
Well, the biggest thing that the Democratic Party does that Republican Party and really any other group don't do is they don't communicate to our people. Democrats engage to our people. They engage like nobody's business. They show up to our meetings. They show up in our communities, and they communicate. Even though it might be a wrong way in doing it, in my opinion, there's a better way in doing it. They at least communicate for our people. They also fight for social programs that I also believe is a blessing, because I was on food stamps. I used to be on food stamps.
My family was too.
Man, listen, I used to be on food. I knew every food stamp. I knew every alphabet, every organization, WIC, ABC voucher, whatever you could think of, Section 8 housing. I did it. I lived it, and so I know that it could be a blessing, but I also know that it's a trap, because sometimes welfare should be a trampoline, not a net. Yeah. And right now it's becoming a net for a lot of us, because I remember when I finally got a job, right? Because I told you I'd been arrested 4 times. I've been at the bottom of the bottom. All right, I've been arrested 4 times for driving under suspension. So broke, couldn't afford seatbelt tickets. Pay seatbelt tickets. You been in jail before? Yes, sir.
I've been in jail too.
So I got the whole jumpsuit, orange jumpsuit and everything.
Lord, when they made me strip, that thing got down in my soul. Ain't been right since. It just shook me so.
Yeah, trust me, brother.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah,
and then when I walked in, it's my fresh meat. I said, Lord Jesus, please protect my booty hole, Lord.
Don't mess
Please
your booty
don't
hole.
drop the soul.
Don't do it.
I had to
Don't
keep
do it.
remembering everything.
Lord, at least I was gonna say something else.
Because I had a lot of hair then.
I got to be more careful.
Yeah, I had a lot of hair then, a lot of waves. I said, this is gonna look like finger waves to somebody. They gonna be like, oh, I want him. And I was scared I was gonna have to punk out and be like, hey, how you doing? You want my food?
You keep me safe.
Take my food because you shall not get my booty hole. But anyway, now, okay, we know what the Democrats have done. Let's talk about what the Republicans have done. Now, I heard the other day that Trump signed something that dropped a whole lot of money into black colleges.
Yeah,
Is that true?
He most definitely dropped a couple of $1 billion into HBCUs. Now he did this, but see, you gotta understand something. You see
It's just black colleges.
Historically black colleges and universities. I mean, in Virginia right now, I think the state had dropped a couple of $100 million into the university, and they're complaining about why in the world are you dropping just this little amount into our universities? And these are Democrats who are fighting in a Democratic state who are saying you're treating us like a piece of crap. But then you get Trump comes on the scene, and see the thing is, Larry, this is not nothing new. All right, Trump is going to his third year, in his presidency. We got one more year left. We're right back in the heart of the campaign. I feel like I haven't got no rest. But this happened in the beginning of his presidency. But we didn't talk about it.
Hold on, the billions of dollars to the HBCUs?
Dude, this happened in the beginning of his presidency.
Well, how come I'm concerned about it?
Again, because it's Donald Trump. He brought in almost every major black college president, HBCU president, into the Oval Office. And he had them all there. They was very happy to be there as he signed this executive order releasing billions of dollars to keep so many HBCUs open. There are black children right now that are going to continue their education because of what Trump signed. There were schools that are about to close.
I thought it just happened.
No, it's just not coming out. But it happened then. We talked about it then. Let me tell you what became the story. The story wasn't about so many black colleges being saved. The story was about Kellyanne Conway, who is a chief counsel of the president, a great friend of mine. She jumped on the couch with her shoes off and was trying to get a picture of all the presidents and the presidents of the colleges and the president, and that became the main story.
Because I remember that.
Isn't
that the power of media?
That's the date.
I remember that.
But important is that's the power of media, and we as black people got to quit being so fooled by letting people uneducate us by just listening to what's happening in the media. Not only has Republicans, and it's not even about Republicans, because Trump ain't all the way a Republican. Let me be clear. Trump is he's a Republican. He's a conservative. It's about simply understanding what's in our best interest. You don't got to be a Republican. Just be self-focused. Become self-focused. So Trump helped the HBCUs. Not only that, he signed the Second Step Act. Again, that's getting black folks out of prison. 97% of those that have gotten out of prison are black people since the Second Chance Act has been in place.
So there's a movie that I just promoted for Warner Brothers called Just Mercy. Have you seen it?
Now, I have not seen it, but I'm going to watch it. I heard it was amazing.
Now, you got to go. You're going to be in there ready to preach like you're doing right now. You want some orange juice because you done preach. we got a nurse.
But I believe in this. If we would just have conversations, intelligent conversations, and not just screaming insults at each other, but really have educated conversations so we can be empowered. Brother, when I talk, I'm in the hood talking. I got pictures of me in the straight hood. Folks who are on Section 8, folks who are dealing with gentrification, folks who don't understand that even right now, there's a way. Gentrification is when somebody who's not from your community or even from your community comes in, buys up a whole bunch of land from your community, fix it up, raise the value up, and they raise it so high that you can't afford to stay there no more. So you're forced to move out of your own community. There are people, and it is happening all over this country. I'm talking to families literally all over this country that's happening. So what do we do about it? We quit taking a knee over just social issues that are filling up emotionalism in us and start fighting the bank system and start fighting real financial institutions and start forcing these people to qualify, that give us, those of us who are qualified, start fixing our credit, start making our credit right. Somebody say once you go white, you get your credit right. Well, I just believe, there's so much to that, right? It's not a joke. We need to be working on our credit scores so we can leave these highfalutin, sharp bait loan companies who are charging us, 37, 47, up to 50% interest rates, and we don't understand how come we can own our own home. There are government programs right now that says even if you make at least minimum wage, hear me, America, you make at least minimum wage, all right? You make minimum wage, and you have a job making at least minimum wage, and with poor credit, you can still own a home. There's programs through the USDA that is available. There's even programs that helping people who are dealing with child support issues. We got too many brothers and sisters who are going to jail because they're not paying their child support. So mama's not getting child support, children not getting supported, and daddies are going to jail. But there are programs that keep fathers out of jail and make sure that mamas get their child support that's due to them so they can get the support to move on in their life. But we don't talk about this. You know why? Because we're spending so much time calling each other coons and sellouts and calling each other, oh, that nigga don't know what he's talking about because he's up there with Trump, when we and not educating ourselves on real issues that can be impacting your community. You know that less than 10% of people vote in the primaries to select your congressman or congresswoman that represents you in the United States Congress that has access to these monies.
So hold on, because I want to make sure everybody understands. So you said when you say Congress that represents me in Congress, so how is it that someone way in Congress in DC represents me here in Atlanta? Tell me how that
because
works.
Every state is broken up into what's called districts.
Okay.
And in every district or territory of districts you have a representative that represents your district where you live at in the United States Congress. They represent your area, your territory. They represent your interests. They work for you. And so
we should really be involved in that vote and those elections that happen every 2 years, more than the one every 4.
Absolutely. People have no idea how we are sleeping on these primaries. And I'm not just talking about the general election. I'm talking about the primary. I'm talking about.
So when you say primary, you're talking about the elections that happen locally every 2 years, as opposed to the general that is every 4 years.
No, I'm talking about. See, in every give an example. There was called the primary where I'm using the Democratic Party as an example.
Okay.
Right now for president, you have the primary that's taking place. This is not the general election. This is the primary. So you have Bernie Sanders, you have Joe Biden. You had Cory Booker up until recently, Kamala Harris up until recently. You have all these candidates that are out there. That's the primary vote. They are trying to fight for what's called the nomination or the Democratic nomination to actually run for president. This is happening now.
Okay.
So we're not in the general. But see, the same process happens almost on every election, whether it be local, state, or national. There's always primaries. Black folks sleep on primaries. Okay. You only wait till the general election take place.
Right.
I mean, you have no idea of the power that black folks have if they actually showed up to vote. And they proved that in Alabama when Roy Moore lost the Republican seat to the United States Senate. Because black folks showed up to vote.
We'll make sure we got it. So we got the election that happens every 2 years. That's local.
That's congressional.
And then there's the one congressional. And then we got the one that happens every 4 years. That's the presidential, right?
And your governor.
Right. Okay. Now, prior to those elections, there's what you call primary periods. And that's what you're talking about that we got to start paying attention to.
You got to start paying attention to. You got to start sending your people that you want to go. So there's like right now in South Carolina, I started a new organization called Operation Reset. And the whole idea of it is to get black folks to understand you don't got to become a Republican. I'm not here to preach to you the Republican message. I'm not here to preach to you the Democratic message.
I don't feel like you are.
I'm here to tell you these are things that are happening in your communities, and they can be happening in wherever you are, that they're happening to our people. There's ways to actually change it. And you got to do what Dr. King did. Dr. King was called the Coon. He was called Uncle Tom because he was dealing with Lonnie Bain Johnson. But he had to understand that I can't just march. I got to activate my march, and I got to do that with my vote in the halls of Congress so that it becomes law, so that we can start taking back some of there should be a law right now that states that every person who applies for a loan, especially if you're a minority, that you should be approved. If you meet the qualifications. Forget this 10%, 5% quota mess. That's baloney. But that's what's happening. And once they meet their quota, done.
That's it. That's how the man is there in Greenville with $2 million in assets, 800 plus score. But the Bank of America already has met their quota for the color.
Right.
Now, I'm gonna ask you this here. We know the Democratic Party has failed us, but some of us feel like the entire political process has failed us. I mean, it's not just a matter of this party, Republican or Democrat. It's like it seems like the whole thing is just
absolutely right.
Ungodly, evil. It's not about the people. It's not even about the policies and procedures that's about the people. It's about something else.
Well, let me just say this. You kind of said it earlier. One person said, politics is, Christians have left politics because politics is corrupt. But politics is corrupt because Christians have left. And even within the black community, we as black people are traditionally conservative people. Republicans have failed miserably in communicating. I screamed this from the mountaintop to the top from the Trump administration when I was on CNN recently, and they asked me, the Trump administration is a lot of white people. Do you think that there's a problem? Well, absolutely. What are you going to think I'm going to say no?
Exactly. Because that's really what Omarosa's place was, because she actually had, I wanted to get into that too. Lord, there's so much I want to talk to you about now. You done turned everything, all my thinking on. And you ain't got on none of my nerves tonight. I had 5 reserved just for you. Okay. And I said he going to get on at least 3 of these, but you's a blessing. I got all my nerves. That's why I'm able to think. So okay. Now, Omarosa, now Paula White got it. She actually got a show enough office in there because somebody told me they went up in there. And see, Omarosa, she had one, but she wouldn't have had a wedding and some of all this kind of stuff. But we're going to be talking to her. We're working on that right now. When I talked to you today, something you said, I said, let me see if I can use my contact to get Omarosa, and I was able to do that. But we don't want to jinx it because she ain't sitting here yet. But I want to get into, because while you never were in that, and like had a space in the White House, and you saying some stuff now that make good sense. And I think some people are learning, but they don't want to admit it because they want to make sure you stay the coon. But you cannot listen to what you're saying and not tell that you have a concern that has nothing to do with Trump. It don't really sound like it's Republican or Democratic. It just sounds like it's a people passion.
It is. I mean, again, that's the whole purpose of why politics was created. The government is for the people. It's not. And the government serves us. They serve us, but they understand that if I can get you to redirect your focus, all right, because there's power in numbers, and Dr. King understood that. That's why we have voting rights. That's why the marches worked. That's why segregation took place, because there was power in numbers, and it stopped being a black issue and it became an American issue. But as long as we're focusing on issues that build up emotionalism without actually dealing with the nuts and bolts that's behind it. That's actually why are black people getting killed in some of our urban centers with their hands up. Why is that taking place? And some of Black Lives do matter. So why are these taking place? Well, the nuts and bolts of it is because there's a lack of opportunities. Black folks aren't naturally aggressive, mean, violent people. No. But you put anybody, whether they white, whether they black, whether they Asian, you put them in a cage, and you take food and you limit their food and you limit their opportunities, they're going to fight and crawl their way out,
hold on,
no matter what color they are.
You done said something through him. Because you know what? Maybe some of us that are black have categorized ourselves a certain way and not know why we have. Because truth be told, doing this job made me understand humanity better. Yeah. Also my people. Because I did think that my people were naturally rude. I done Uber for a whole month. So I know what I'm talking about. I'm an expert. I done Uber for, it might have been a month and 2 days, but it made me an expert. And my people get in the car ain't saying nothing. And if they say something, I'm going here at this time, and they're real snappy. Yeah. And then when white people come in, hi, how are you? I'm like, hi, I don't feel like talking this morning time. How are you? Oh, Larry. My cousin says, and I'm like, girl, hush. It doesn't like, I call it white right, because they just know how to act. Yeah. And then we get in the car like, I don't even care if you think I'm rude, it is what it is. And so I was thinking, what's wrong with our people? But then when you think about what has happened to us here in this country, I went to Montgomery to the museum. You ever been down there to that museum?
I have, yes.
And you see them signs where they were selling us and how much, and they had a certain names for us.
I got pictures of that, yeah.
How you do that? They told us we couldn't take no pictures, and you went in there breaking rules.
Well, I went in there when there was nobody.
Oh, you with Trump, shouldn't know.
But let me just say this: what you're saying is.
But hold on, let me finish what I'm saying, because this plays into what you're saying. I didn't even think about how
we've been treated.
So if you take away the food, like you said, and you take away the opportunity, then you end up with niggerment.
Yeah, and that's what's happening. It's a straight, real frustration. And so the problem is, again, it can't be done through, again, it's got to be done through dealing with the nuts and bolts. All right, but we have to be educated. We can't just, just angrily, violently say, no, I'm tired, I'm angry, and I'm black. No, it's got to be done through understanding the legal process, understanding how do we change some of the legal process, understanding how this Congress works, why aren't you actively in your town halls, in your own city? Why aren't you actively engaging into your school school systems in your communities? Again, there's so much that we don't do, but we will show up to protest, but we won't show up to vote. Okay, and I just think, even just on a side note, when you're treated aggressively, when you walk into a room, you got to wear a suit to be accepted. When you can't wear dreads for people to, to wear dreads for people to look at you, like not a non-threat. When you got to speak proper, and they call it you talking white. It's not that I'm just an educated brother who reads a lot. You understand what I'm saying? And so, but when we're treated like, as a people, as a whole, like a piece of crap in many ways. Honest news is something that, God gave me because I was tired of coming on MSNBC, CNN, and only talking about race. Only talking about race relations. Like, as a black man, I can only talk about being black. Right? There's more. We have black doctors. We have black lawyers. We have black, we have black scientists.
But I didn't see none of that since I moved to Atlanta. I'm from North Carolina. White people own everything. They the smart ones. We the dumb is we help them.
But see, the fact is, what we don't know is in Fayetteville, North Carolina, that's where the home of the first Black Wall Street. In Fayetteville, North Carolina, is where we owned our own banking business. Somebody said, and I'm not saying this is true, so let me be careful how I say it because it may come out later on national story.
Know it will.
But somebody wrote that were black people better off doing segregation because there was a time where black businesses thrived. And then black businesses got too powerful, then of course they burnt it down. The same thing happened in Tulsa in the 1900s, where Black Wall Street existed. And there were black bankers or black lawyers,
here too.
In Atlanta, absolutely, after Reconstruction. And so the question is, we got to educate ourselves. We got to quit being just so using emotionalism and understanding that, we have power. You can't just let Democrats take your vote. That's if you forget everything that I said, I'm not saying be a Republican. I'm not saying all Americans start wearing a Make America Great Again hat. I'm not asking anybody to do that. What I am saying is at least educate yourself. Go down the line and stop saying I'm going to be loyal to one party because of the color of my skin, but I'm going to look down and I'm going to see which party right now is more for me. That's going to help me and my self-interest, so I can not be so much selfish, but I can become self-focused. And right now, I believe that happens to be the conservative movement.
I think that kind of thinking will probably create some critical thinking, at least, versus just being this automatic, I'm going to vote and do whatever. Now, I'm going to have Carlton Pearson up here in a few weeks. Now, he's going to come back and unsay everything
sure.
that you said. I would love to have you guys on a panel and just
he's a friend
and just speak, because I like the way all of you guys think and really are convicted about
I'm glad you said something about Carlton Pearson because AB I've said some of these other brothers who I disagree with. Reverend Al Sharpton's one of them who said to me, Pastor Burns, listen, we're on two different sides, but never ever forget we are on the same team.
Yeah, and
that changed my whole world perspective. Like he said, we need us on both sides. I don't get on here and fight people who I disagree with. I mean, you see me on CNN. You saw me, you maybe see me yelling or getting aggressive in some of these interviews because they overtalk you. Then I give you opportunity to really do what we're doing here. You can disagree with everything I said, but I won't know that because you give me an opportunity to talk and explain myself, and then leave it to your viewers to decide whether or not it's valued or not valued.
Well, one of the main reasons why I wanted you to be here, because I know a lot of the people that I'm connected to may say some of the things the opposite than you. Like Bishop Bernard Jordan, there may be some things you don't agree on. Of course, Carlton Pearson, maybe some things y'all don't see. But I want the audience, because everybody who is different is listening.
Right.
So I want everybody to be able to at least think and to hear. And before we go, or I think maybe I'll open up the phone lines and maybe somebody want to ask you a question. Put a number up there. The number is, if you're open to it.
Sure, absolutely.
Although I'm next to ready to go. You put the number 646.
Crab legs, man.
That's right. You want to eat 64, and I got to meet my accountant. Lord Jesus.
This late at night, that's never not a good thing. When you're meeting your accountant after 10 o'clock.
But see, the thing
is, scrupulous things going on.
I know, right? Okay. Anyway, 646-787-8174. I will take 5 phone calls if you guys want to ask Pastor Mark Burns a question. You'll be able to ask him a question, and he will answer it. Okay, we already got somebody already in queue. Well, I guess they were waiting because they got something to say to you. Okay, let's see who this is. Okay, caller ending in 1788. What's your name? Where you calling from? Your question, please. 1 minute.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead with your name. Where you calling from? Your question.
Hi, my name is Jay. I'm calling from Dallas. I really had a couple of things. I was listening to Mark Burns speak, and I just had a couple of things that I wanted to correct in regards to some of the information he gave. As in regards to history, because he said that the Black Panther Party came about in after the death of King, and actually they came about in 1966, 2 years before his assassination. A couple of talking points that he was talking about the blacks voting Democrats, that didn't actually happen in the conservative years, which was turned by Barry Goldwater, I think in 1964. That happened when Roosevelt came about, and he signed all these bills to give relief, and this was shortly after the Great Depression. This was shortly after the Great Depression in 1936, I want to say, when Roosevelt became president. That's when the tide started turning for Americans to start voting more Democrat, especially the blacks, because they were included in a lot of the things that he did, a lot of bills that he signed. And so in actuality, blacks never really did vote Republican extremely heavy, because the 15th Amendment gave us the vote to right, but you could only vote if you paid a poll tax and if you passed the literacy test. So that was shortly after slavery. So of course a lot of black folks couldn't read. So how would that be a sense that black folks voted Republican? That's impossible. Because, well, I'm not going to say impossible, it's improbable, because the actual Voting Rights Act didn't come until 1965 to where blacks started voting heavily, and that was with the tide of the Civil Rights Movement. So, yeah, I don't know where they get this history from, stating that black folk voted Republican, because we could not vote. We could not vote at all. And so it was the first voting act, but only very few blacks could vote back then. So how are you going to say as a whole we voted Republican because Lincoln freed us when we could not vote? You have to remember, after Lincoln died, President Andrew Johnson, who became his predecessor, he cut out a whole lot of stuff, which was the Freedmen Act that was given to us by Abraham Lincoln. So he came down on a lot of that stuff, which is why he was the first president that was impeached, because of his behavior and because of his act of regression rather than progression. So I just wanted to correct a whole lot of that stuff. A whole lot of things that I heard. Some of the things he said are very true. We do vote, just give our vote away. But, Larry, let me inform you of this. The bill that was just passed by Trump to give money to the HBCUs, was already pretty much owed to us. It's part of the Higher Education Act. And that also was signed by Lyndon B. Johnson in 1965. So we have to be very careful to just push out information as a way of saying, why should we vote Democrat? If you're going to push out information, as long as it's truthful, that's great. But if it's even a little bit off key, it slants the view of this is what the Democrats have done wrong to us. And so that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Now, my question to Mark. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay, you got to go. You're supposed to have 1 minute, but I done sit here and let you just do a whole sermon. But thank you so much for contributing. But go ahead and ask your question to Mark right soon you ask, hang right up.
All right, I will. Mark, my question to you is, for as much as you have denied or you're taking off the table the question of why Trump is racist, or if you believe he's racist, we have seen stuff happen before he became president, those 2 lawsuits about him being racist. Were you aware of those activities before you jumped onto his campaign?
Thank you so much for your question. He's about to answer it now. Thank you so much for caller.
Thank you so much for your perspective. I'm just going to jump into it because I see you have a lot of callers here, so I'm going to go quickly.
We're only going to do 5. I don't care how many is up in there.
Okay. Real quickly, in reference to Donald Trump and some of the racist things that
the whole country.
Right. The redlining issue, which was by Fred. Okay, excuse me. The redlining where black people were not allowed to in certain places, which was common in that day. Fred Trump, his father, led that. I'm not here to make any excuses at all for any person. What I do know is this, that I believe, regardless if a person was a racist or not, done racist activities or not, or done insensitivities activity or not, if a person has repented or asked for forgiveness or asked to be changed or has reaching out, I think you should be willing to open up to listen and be willing to have those type of conversations. Okay. I think that, again, whether he, with the Central Park 5, I know a lot of people bring up the Central Park 5 situation, and I have a real backstory about that, but I know we don't have time to discuss it. My conversation with the president in reference to the Central Park 5. But yes, there are some things that I would have called out and have called out, but those are people's past. I have a past. You have a past. Are we allowing their past to affect their present today? I think that's wrong. I think we all have a jacked up past. We all have, chapters in our books that we wish nobody knew about. Mine was CNN. I mean, you have some from yours, everybody, but we can't be judged solely based off of some of the things that has been done.
So you do not stand behind those comments and racist remarks. You don't.
Absolutely not. I mean, I'm not one of these black brothers out here that you say racism is not real and doesn't. That's not me. So people, again, you only know me from CNN, Fox News, and these little snippets of me.
This the most we get to know you tonight.
Yeah, the fighting with some. I'm literally one of the most pro-black fighting for our cause per people that you would ever meet, regardless of Donald Trump. This is not because I'm on this. I'll be on the Breakfast Club or wherever I'm at. I'm going to be the same regardless. But the fact of the matter is, we can't keep holding people's failures by saying, "Oh, this person was a ABC, this person was that." Listen, Donald Trump had P. Diddy. Donald Trump had,
I'm gonna tell you, we used to. If y'all don't know music like I do. We praised Donald Trump in our music for years. The rap music, Snoop Dogg, everybody did. So let's go ahead to the next call. But before we go to the next call, I do want to reiterate. I don't know what the viewers feel. I do know you probably liably more bent towards the Republican side, but I respect that you are having a conversation that sounds at least bipartisan. Aside from that, it sounds as though the conversation you're having, you're trying to get us to think about what we're doing versus being automatic in our vote and in our lens and in our perspective.
For me, the reason why I'm leaning towards Republican, and it all started spiritually. People ask me this all over the country.
Well, biblications. They follow the biblications.
I can't support any candidate that wants to kill babies. To me, you can't say Black Lives Matter when Black baby lives don't matter.
Now, hold on for a minute. Now, I'm going to say something about that now. But I understand it, because what about biblications thing.
Right.
But what if, That'd be a whole nother conversation. We do that another time.
What if somebody was raped? What if what incest? Want to have you? Well, listen, I just think.
Or they just don't want the baby.
Well, again,
me over there, somebody not want the baby, and I'm about to put inside of her.
And I think they should use. I think we've made it. There's a law right now that states.
Hold on, let me say something. I won't get no charges. I was just playing. I was just playing. It was a joke. I get $10. You want to sue me nothing, all right? All right, go ahead. So go ahead. Okay.
There are places that people can drop off babies and not be charged. I mean, again, when you look at Lot,
so there's an alternative.
The Bible makes it very clear. I mean, look at the situation that took place with Lot and his daughters being impregnated by Lot. Either the Bible is real.
That's
or
a
it's
whole
not.
mess. That's a whole mess.
And so
that would have been on LRL. Had I been back then that time, I would have had Lot. Would have been all of them.
Yeah, but the thing is, the Bible, if either the word of God is true or it's a lie. And so for me, I cannot support that. I cannot support also the sanctity of marriage. I believe that marriage is between man and woman. I believe that.
So you don't want the gay people to get married?
Well, I'm going to say this. I will fight for a person to be gay. I will fight for a person's right to be gay. I think the moment that the federal government starts trying to remove a person's ability to be or love whoever they want to love is overstepping the bounds. I will be leading the marches, fighting for homosexuals to be homosexuals and to get what they need and deserve, all right? I'm only saying it becomes a problem when you begin to force the ideology on me as a church, as a pastor. You begin to tell me
I can respect that.
I have to honor one of my faith.
That ain't what they're doing, is it?
That's exactly what they're doing. Go ask Beto, who was listen, again, this is where we're not being educated. Beto, who was no longer in a race, but he was an early Democratic front runner, who said, I will punish churches who will refuse to marry homosexual couples in their church. They will lose their 501c3 exemption status.
Now, is that
That's out of his mouth?
Is that what Butterpig is doing?
Who?
Butterpig. What's that man's name?
Buttigieg.
Buttigieg.
Mayor, the mayor. Just call him the mayor. The former mayor.
Whoever was responsible for his last name.
Listen, we're gonna talk about it. Mayor, the mayor.
But let me say this though. Let me say this.
Who is a homosexual?
But I don't think that's nice. Now this is I am all about you do whatever you want to do. I do whatever we got to do. We respect each other. But I did not know, and I'm just taking your word for it.
Sure.
That the LGBT community is like wanting to force their thing on people who don't want.
There are documented cases over and over and over again where LGBTQ community members will go in specifically targeting a mission or a ministry. They specifically targeting. At one case in Texas, there was a preacher who was being targeted by the mayor. I can't remember. I'm not going to mention the name of the city, but it was in Texas, where this preacher was preaching what the Word of God was saying about homosexuality, and the mayor began to charge this pastor, forcing him to turn over his speeches, transcripts of his speeches, so that they can go through and read what is this person preaching. We talk, there's a reason why Ron Reagan, who was the son of former President Ronald Reagan, who was considered by many Americans one of the greatest Republican presidents or presidents period that we've ever had, who is an openly atheist. He comes on why is he coming on every CNN Democrat debate? Who was leading what's called the Friends of the Removal of a Religion, the Organization of the Removal of Religion, and he says, I'm one of these atheists who is not afraid of burning in hell.
But
this has been done. My question, I'm going to be quiet. The point is, there's a reason why atheists, the majority of atheists, are associated with the Democratic Party and not the Republican Party. And I'm only speaking to people of faith. Now, people who are not of faith, they won't understand this, but people who say, I believe in the Word of God, you have to begin to ask yourself, why is this particular party or this platform that this party has adopted is more acceptable to those who have denounced?
I don't think that's right.
God even exists.
I don't think that's right. Now, I am a free thinker, and maybe that's not the wrong word for this conversation. I don't care what you do.
And that's my point.
But that ain't right. I mean, I don't think that's right. I'm taking what you're saying now.
Go research it. It's documented.
But that ain't right. If somebody feel a certain kind of way, then they got every right to feel every way they feel without you trying to bombard and then trying to make me feel the way you feel.
Right.
I don't think that's right.
My stance is still, I would fight for any gay person's right to be gay. I'll be leading the march. I'll be. If you want to be married to, I will fight for that because that's your right. That's America.
Yeah, because you discriminate. If one of us is discriminated against, I don't care what it is.
Absolutely.
We all discriminate.
But don't force it on me. If I want my children to grow up in a household where there's man and woman, if I want my children to go through a program that supports traditional marriage values, if I want my church to teach and preach traditional marriage values, then I have the right to do that without being ostracized,
without being called a bigot and all this other kind of stuff. That's just what you want.
And that's what's happening. That's reality.
Don't y'all feel the same way? That gonna get up on my skin. I don't know. That's gonna
go research.
You never got me being a Republican.
Not only that,
not the Reid part, but the Republican.
But let me say this much. Democrats are also there's a motion on the floor that's been created, a law that's trying to change the wording from freedom of religion to freedom of worship. I need every Democrat, every worshiper who believes in the Lord Jesus Christ to listen to what I'm telling you. This is a reality. Why is Ron Reagan running his commercials solely on the Democratic debate that just took place on CNN? Every Democrat debate, you will see Ron Reagan and his group of atheists on there promoting this organization, trying to keep people of faith out of politics. There's a motion on the floor, all right, that is trying to get a motion passed that will change the wording from freedom of religion to, hear me, freedom of worship. What that means is, and this is the book of Revelations coming to pass, what that means is you no longer have a right to worship your God outside the place of your worship. You can only call on your faith and your belief system inside your place of worship. Anywhere outside of that, it becomes an illegal act. This has been led by the Democratic Party. Both parties are jacked up. Republicans are jacked up. Democrats are jacked up. There's issues on both sides, especially pertaining to the black community. Both parties are not taking care of properly, educating and communicating properly with our people, all right? So I'm not here bashing one side. I'm only just giving you facts. That's taking place.
You riding the fence.
So as
really
a preacher, as not just a preacher, forget that. As a Christian who believe without a shadow of a doubt when I die and I leave this world that I'm going to stand before the great I am. And he's either going to call me and say, well done, thou good and faithful servant, or he's going to say, depart from me, you works of iniquity.
No, you're not.
No, you're not. I don't know you. And I believe that. And so when that happens, I am going to say, Lord, did I fight and defend your scriptures? I understand abortion isn't the only issue. I understand that marriage isn't the only issue. But I believe if we are believers of the body of Christ, especially those of us in the black community, and we are by whole conservative people, that we try our best to at least vote the Bible as best as possible. Is there corruption on both sides? Yes. The system, as I said earlier, is messed up. But how do we fight it? Well, we got to first, again, start on being educated on what's real versus what's not real.
Right. All right, I'm here to get you out of here because you're about to make me I'm holding my independent status.
I'm gonna do independent.
I'm gonna do one more phone call. You done talked it up. I'm gonna tell you done.
Go research, brother. Go research. Don't take my word.
But that thing you said about folk trying to tell me what to do, I don't like nobody tell me what to do.
That's the reality.
Don't try to tell me what to do. Do not try to tell me what to do because you're gonna just see a whole other side of me.
Yeah.
We're gonna take one more call. Let's go.
Just don't let them get your booty hole. Just don't let them do that.
Let me tell you.
I know you was worried.
What would I do
would flashbacks.
if I lost my elasticity and all my bowels was out on the floor? That would be a pure shame. I don't even know how in the world to do that. Because I called somebody the other day because I asked.
See what happens.
And this is telling too much of my business. But do not try to tell me what to do. The caller just gonna have to wait. Put them back on hold till I finish my statement.
Gonna talk about his booty hole. He's trying to talk about this.
What I was saying is this here, but this is a no lie, and I'm just gonna say it on the air. This is what I done. I was getting a massage, and this particular person, the massage man, I know they go both ways, but they ain't bother me no way because it's good at what they do. And so I asked them. I said, "Let me ask you a question. And then I was scared because I'm straightforward.
Yeah.
I said, how is it that y'all, I was asking about anal sex. I said, well, don't it get messy? I said, because I don't know if you ever have like hit a certain bump in the road a certain kind of way or move quick and there's something moving in your stomach and then you got to go straight to the bathroom. Yeah. So I'm saying if something go back there, I remember my mom was a little boy when I couldn't use the bathroom, she'll take a little slither of soap and she'll put it around there a little bit and it'll make you go to the bathroom. And then mama always said, boy, I do it a little bit, you go right quick and get it on my hand. I would duke it. Oh, God. So I'm trying to figure out how you stay clean back there, you know, and how you keep from duking. I said, I just want to know.
What they say?
Well, crying, laughing. I said, I'm dead serious. Just tell me what do you do? So I know if they had done something to me when I was in that jail, I probably got beat up because I would have messed all over myself. Everywhere. Yeah, but do. Just everywhere. All right, that's enough of that. But all right, now to get the caller back. Okay, caller ended at 3567. I'm so sorry. What's your name? Where you calling from? You got 1 minute. Give your question to Pastor Mark Burns.
What's going on, Larry? What's going on, Pastor Mark? I just want to say, first of all, Larry, thank you for having the diversity that you're having today. I am a Trump supporter, and Pastor Mark, I appreciate you being a voice of the face, you know, and just speaking what you're saying because that's just so true. I just want to say something real quick if I can. I grew up in Chicago. We don't vote Republican in the hood. And so you had over 50 years of Democratic stronghold control over cities like Chicago and Detroit. And so, you know, who we blame for that? We don't blame Trump for that. You can't blame Trump for that. So, you know, like Pastor Mark is saying, we just need to be informed voters. And like he said, we don't leverage our votes like the Latinos or the gay community does. You have the Republican Party, you have the gay community, the vying for their votes. The Latinos are pandering to well, not pandering, but you see the votes going after the Latinos or the gay community by both Republican and Democrats. And so I get what you're saying, and I just want to say thanks for pointing it out. And then I want to just say to you, Pastor Mark, my question is about, are you familiar with the Walkaway campaign?
Brandon Straker, yeah, I've spoken at many events. Matter of fact, one of my speeches at the Walkaway has went viral, several million views.
Right. Okay. So yeah. So can you speak to some of the diversity that you see in there? Because a lot of people don't know that these are former Democrats that's walking away, and it's a diverse group. These are people that are atheists, gays, Jews, blacks. Can you speak to that?
For you know, your boldness and just being open-minded. You know, there's an organization called Walkaway. Brandon Straker, who is a conservative gay, proud gay American, who is a great friend of mine. Is a great spirit, and he is leading this amazing movement of encouraging millions of people to essentially walk away from the Democratic Party. And people are doing just that. They're walking away. And again, I'm not here to convince anyone to walk away. That's not my thing. But that's Brandon's thing, and he's done I've spoken at many of their events. Powerful program, and they're gays, they're straight, you know, they are. And I said this on the international platform. Doesn't matter if you're gay, or matter you straight, black or white, Indian, red, green, whatever. If you love this country, you're an American, and you're part of the Walkaway movement. And it's it's huge. I mean, it is literally grown. People are saying, and they're black, they're Hispanics, and they're saying, you know, I'm discovering that you know, I've been lied to by the Democratic Party, and it's hurting our people as a whole. And they're getting educated. So that you know, thank you so much for bringing that out. And there's another major event called Unsilent that's coming out. I think I'm speaking there. Brandon Straker, you know, they're moving again. They're getting millions of people to support this great movement called Walkaway. People should look it up.
All right, you guys. I said 5 calls, but all my nerves. I'm down to one last one. So I'm done. So Thank you so much for watching. Before you sign off, I need everybody to hit the thumbs up and to share right now. Thank you so much, Pastor Mark Burns, for trusting the LarryReidLive platform in spite of what them niggas told you. I'm so glad you decided to still come on.
We love those niggas
on the show,
them.
and we've already shared here on this platform 250,000 views from MBNNetwork.
Yes.
The video is
Thank
right
you for
here
that.
on YouTube. So we're going to find a way to do some things together at some point in time, and we're going to have you back.
Thank you
'cause
so
we
much.
ain't through, especially when we find out when we get right into the heat of the presidential thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be really good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna be good. All right. God bless you guys. See you later. Bye.
I wanna be.